Hello, I'm Pastor Tim Holscher, and thank you for joining me today. I'm continuing here in Romans to look at how God makes it possible or encourages those of us who are mature and stable. Notice I'm including myself in there. Yeah, be honest, I still have times that I have to go back and review these things because even me, I can go, and something will shock me, and I have to go back and say, wait a second, this is what God said, this is what He's doing. And and so even believers that have become stable, sometimes we have to go back and really remind ourselves of what God has said, because even our stability sometimes can be shocked or rocked a little bit by different things that we happen to do in our lives. And so as we're looking here in Romans 12, he's talking about really how I believe we can contribute to the stability of other believers that really lack that stability yet in their Christian life. They haven't grown enough to that position. And so there's different things we can be doing. And it starts with presenting our bodies and then operating as a living sacrifice, then being transformed, exercising our gifts, showing definite love for others, and then the way we continue to do things. Like yesterday, we're looking about having the right kind of an attitude, the right frame of mind, which is one where we see all of us together as one. We don't look at ourselves as though I'm better or that I become the standard. I become the frame of mind from which I determine or relate to everybody else, as though I'm the be-all, end-all. And that brings us to verse 17 then, where Paul says, and this is the 2020 edition of the NASB. It says, never repay evil for evil, and they've added to anyone. And we have this particle here at the beginning, may deny, and the question in here is this to no one repay evil for evil, or is it translated never? Probably it has both sense, because we're saying to no one, absolutely do not. Evil in place of evil repay. Now, what does he mean evil for evil? We've talked about this kakos before. A kakos is a word meaning something isn't what it's supposed to be. You expect it to be this, but it's this. And you're like, that's not the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like this. How come it turned out like this? Kakos. And people are going to act and function a certain way that you're going to encounter. People in the body of Christ, even people outside the body of Christ. In fact, I think it's one of the things that Christians we're foolish about, is that we sometimes expect the people outside the body of Christ to act like us. We never should expect them to act like we do. It's when believers act like people in the world do, and they aren't what we would expect, that it's easy for us to sometimes say, they're lacking in character, they're being less than I was expecting, justifies me acting that same way. In fact, not just acting that same way, but this word apodidomi, to repay that, to pay that back to them. This is the way they were acting, and this is the way now I'm going to treat them in that context. I myself am going to justify being like that to them. Do you get that? So that's why our Bible say repay. And I always think when believers act like, especially adults act like that, it's just kind of as though we are functioning like little kids. Well, he hit me first, so I could hit him last. Why? And Paul says, no, don't do this. No, we'll stop here with this before we move on. Why is that important for stability? Because I can guarantee you, if our Christian life is just lived with a series of tit for tat, this is what you did to me, this is what I do to you. This way just we repay. You cause me problems, I am justified in treating you poorly. That's not maturity. That is not going to create stability. Because when you function like that in the way that you relate to others, you expect God to do that. And the amazing thing is, living under the grace of God, you're going to have times that you are going to do things. You're going to do something in your Christian life, and you're going to expect that bolt of lightning from God. Here we're making God Zeus, right? The Greek god, the head of the Greek god Zeus, the god that carried thunder. We're expecting him to zap us with a bolt of lightning because of what he did. That is God, by the way, is not Zeus. It's nothing like that. Zeus is a human creation. God is the uncreated, creator, almighty, all-powerful, single, one and only God anywhere. And he's not a God that's just up there that gets angry with people and just hurls lightning bolts down at people when we mess up. And especially under his grace, you're going to find out that sometimes we're going to mess up and we're going to do stuff, and you're going to find you're still breathing the air. And you're going to go, what's this all about? And then if you've studied the Bible a while, you're going to say, oh, this is because I'm operating under grace. And it's not that grace goes, oh, it's okay, no big deal, you sinned. Oh, we're fine with that. It's all grace. No. It's just that God under grace doesn't always treat us with the way that we deserve to be treated. He treats us with kindness, even when sometimes maybe we deserve that thunderbolt, if that were the case. And if we learn to treat other people the way they treat us, evil in place of evil, it's real easy for us to, in our thinking, to develop the idea, no, that's the way I should expect God to treat me. You see how when we act towards other people, the way we respond, the kind of attitudes that we have towards them, is going to affect the way we're going to think about God and how he treats us. Now, does God at times deal with us with some severity? Oh, certainly. We have in the Corinthian church, because they had come and they had sat down at the table to share in communion, that is fellowship, is what that word is, fellowshipping together. But they weren't fellowshipping because some of them are just chowing down on their food and they're drinking so much that they're getting drunk at the table, and the poor guy sitting across from the table comes and he didn't have any food and he didn't have anything to drink. And you have just treated him with contempt by chowing down like a pig on your food while he went hungry. They were not relating to others in the body of Christ properly, and they weren't exercising proper fellowship. And so as a result of that, some of them were sick. Some of them were very sick, and some of them, or many of them, he said, had died as a result. So yeah, does God enter into judgment with us at times in ways? Yes, he does. But because he's also operating with us by grace, you're not guaranteed that this is going to happen every time you step out of line. And we always want to know, well, where's the line? Then how far can I go? Why do you want to know how far you can go? Just say God's grace means I am freed from that kind of activity, so why even go to that path? Why get up there and see how close I can push it up to that line? Why would we do that? That's inconsistent with the grace of God. That's what we should be saying. God's been so gracious with me, why would I want to act like that? Rather than, well, how far can I go before I am stricken with illness? See, that would be law. Law says, I go this far and you're ill. This far and you're really ill, and this far and you die. That's what we want to know. That's law. That's not grace. Treat each other well. It doesn't say that here, but he has been saying that in the previous context, hasn't he? Now he's reminding us. And he doesn't say just each other here. He says no one. So that means even those people who maybe are unsaved. And this is a good way to encourage those who maybe lack stability to think properly so that they too, like you, can have a good day in the Lord. Thank you for joining me today.